Hi everyone! Today I'm creating a video on adult service agencies. So I know a lot of the families that I'm working with are thinking of, once transition ends, once school ends, what's going to happen for my student? They're thinking about things like, are they going to live at home with me? What's going to happen if I get sick? I think there's a lot of questions going around in a lot of your heads, and I want to try and address one of them and talk about adult service agencies. So what an adult service agency is basically is an organization that hosts a variety of programs and supports and different opportunities for adults with disabilities. So it's kind of like a hub for all of the services that you might have access to and that your student might have access to once they are an adult. So some of those things might include supported living. So maybe your student is living at home, or maybe you're thinking about potentially them living in a group home, maybe when they start to get a little bit older. So that is one thing that the adult service agencies can help you with by providing in-home services or providing residential care. There are a whole bunch of different opportunities that they provide. Also, all adult service agencies seem to have some kind of adult learning program within them. And what these learning programs look like, usually they focus on some things like work skills, life skills. Usually there are some classes that are built in to these programs and classes that they offer, like stuff like art therapy, recreational activities like Special Olympics type things. I've seen horse therapies, just different things like that. And then opportunities to volunteer like as a group. So in a lot of situations, this is what is called a day program. So usually a day program consists of some of those opportunities. And also what these adult service agencies offer is something that connects your student to a career or some kind of vocational opportunity. So some career services are connecting a person to the community. So they're preparing them with like, how do I get on the bus and how do I get to my job, and providing them whatever supports they need to be successful in a job. Or providing an environment that is like a sheltered workshop. And I know there are mixed opinions about this topic, but it is an environment where people with disabilities work in a quiet or just like protected environment, not like within the community. Like you wouldn't see these people working at Jewel or in another, like a library. This is a self-contained type work setting. So career services, and then also there are usually connections to clinical services, which mean like doctors and then case management. So like what I provide for a lot of you, and having like an IEP and a guiding document with all of that information on it. Adult service agencies usually provide some kind of management in that way too, that manage like different therapies, like a social worker. A lot of those are often given to or provided to a participant when they're on site. So that is kind of just an overview of what adult service agencies are and what they do. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about what the adult service agencies in our area look like. And then I'm also going to tell you a little bit about more adult service agencies that are around us that we don't necessarily they're not necessarily like in our district, but something about the adult service agencies that is important is that you kind of explore the different options that you have to see which one would be a best fit for your child. Something else about adult service agencies that I forgot to mention is that what you might think about this and say, how am I going to pay for this? A lot of the funds that you get from applying for the PUNS list and just like different funds that you might get from the government can be used towards things like this. So used towards like the day programs and used towards different other things that an adult service agency might offer. The first adult service agency that I'm going to talk about is called Community Support Services. And this is one that is like within the community that we are in and is likely going to be one that's easily accessible for you. So the focus for Community Support Services is on adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. They also support the families and also children. There are some services that are provided for children. But I'm going to talk about the adult services. So what they offer are what is called respite services. And what respite really is, if you've never heard of it before, is providing support to the main caregivers. So respite is for like younger children, it might look like babysitting. So like somebody comes in and, hangs out with like a child with a disability, and they maybe have planned activities that they do with them. So it's basically like in-home support is one way that it can look. But also some organizations also talk about respite being like a group service. So what Community Support Services offers is in-home support called respite, and then also group activities that they also call respite services. One of the activities that I thought was interesting and that you guys might want to take advantage of is social club. So they do some kind of cool outings for individuals who are 18 and older with intellectual disabilities. So that might be something fun to look into for your student. The other services that Community Support Services offer are residential supports. So potentially they can come into your home and support you, or they host group homes. So whatever is a better fit for your child or your student. They also offer supported employment. So if your student needs help when they go out into the community in kind of like just getting used to a job, or like either consistently need support at the job or just need support in the beginning, it's kind of on a case-by-case basis, they provide those services. Next is they also offer a day program, so kind of like what I was talking about before, and their day program is called Community 360. So they're doing stuff in the community, they have stuff back at the main office, and it's just a really fun way to fill the day. I think there are also connections to like volunteer opportunities too, so it's fun and it's also a meaningful way to fill the day. Also, they have CSS Academy, which is fun classes that you can take that focus on a lot of those things like we were talking about, like job supports and like life skills, cooking, so some things like that. So that's kind of an overview of what Community Support Services is, but I will have a link below in the description of this video. The next adult service agency I'm going to talk about that is like within our community is Helping Hand. So the focus is on students with developmental disabilities and autism. And this is probably the most local one that we have too. So either Community Support Services or Helping Hand are the ones that you'd probably look at first, the ones that are the closest to home. They also offer children and adult services, but I'm going to be talking about the adult services. They offer an adult day program, and it is housed in Hodgkins, Illinois, in their adult services building. But what's great about this is that the clinical services, so different services that they might receive like occupational therapy and other doctors that they might have to see, are woven into the adult day program. So you'd receive the case management from Helping Hand, and they would work with you in figuring out what clinical services you want to take advantage of, which ones are appropriate, and how they can weave it into the day program. They also offer something called After Hours, which is a PM outings and recreation service. So I think students even, 18 maybe, or younger than that, can come to a site, and there are different things that they would do after school. So this is great if you work late or whatever you might need. Also, they offer something called Empower, which is their program that prepares people for employment or other community experiences. And lastly, I'm going to talk about actually two more. There is employment services, so they can support someone in getting competitive employment, so prepping them for interviews and whatever field that they're interested in. They also have supported employment, which is a group of individuals might go to a job site and work and get paid an hourly wage, but there is a vocational support person there from Helping Hand that is there to support all these people and potentially additional staff as well. And then they also have connections to these really cool agencies. The first one is Project Search, which I talked a little bit about the Amita Health Project Search transition program in another video, which please look on my channel for that. But then there's also Project Search at Brookfield Zoo. So that's another type of internship that exists at Brookfield Zoo, and it is supported in the same way that the one at Amita Health is, and can set them up for potential employment. Another one that Helping Hand has a connection to is called Teaching Together. And Teaching Together is a partnership with private schools in the Chicagoland area who are a part of the Archdiocese, so Catholic schools. And there are opportunities for people with disabilities to find meaningful work in school settings. And this one just gets me really excited because I know of a few students that are seniors right now that could really, really do amazing work in schools. And this would be a really great support to help get them in schools. So I'll be reaching out to you individually now that I know about this great program. And also they offer transition services. So if Helping Hand sounds like a good fit for your student, what you might consider is, doing a few years of Leyden's transition services, but then doing a transition service year at one of these agencies, because I know that it would provide them an opportunity to kind of integrate into the adult programs, and they would make that connection. So that's what I have to say about Helping Hand, and again, the link to the main website will be below in the description. The next two agencies I'm going to talk about are a little bit further away from where we live. So they typically don't serve individuals in the community that we live in, but what's important is that you explore your options of places in the area. If you go to the Options Fair, or if you access the Options Fair online materials, you'll see some of the information from these two organizations, these two agencies. So I'm going to discuss them so you know what your options are, and maybe one of these might sound like a better fit for your student than the other ones. So I'm going to jump right in. First, we're talking about UCP Seguin. And this used to be two organizations, but now they've combined. And they focus on cerebral palsy, but they support all individuals with disabilities. So their original focus was cerebral palsy. They typically serve the Cicero, Oak Park, River Forest, and Proviso areas, but I think that you are able to utilize services, but just at an additional cost. So just like any, like a recreation service, if you're outside of the district that it serves, then you just pay a little bit more. So let's talk about what they offer. The first thing I'm going to talk about is residential. In, I believe it's Cicero, they have a 24-hour residential care facility for individuals with lots of support needs. They also have in-home supports that they offer, so nurses that can come live or visit. And they also offer CILAs, so that is CILA. And what this stands for is Community Integrated Living Arrangements. So you might hear this when you're navigating the adult services world. And basically what it is a group home. Other individuals with disabilities would live there, maybe they'll have separate rooms, but what's important is that there are certified staff living with them at all times. The respite care services that they provide are typically to the Oak Park and River Forest townships, like in-home services, but they also have weekend respite services to Proviso and the Oak Park River Forest communities at no cost. But for other for families that live in other communities, they would accept private pay. So they have these fun activities or like groups that you can go to on the weekend that provide respite to caregivers, which is like a relief and a place for an individual to go separate from their caregivers to just like have a good time. And they integrate just fun activities, so that would be kind of an interesting option. Next, they have a focus on community employment. So the list of community partners is really impressive. I checked it out on their website. I'm going to attach it below when I listed the Segwin website. So just see how many connections they have in the community. It's really amazing of all the different places they can help connect your student to work. And lastly, actually something else I want to talk about for community employment is there are a few different, like, franchises that they run. There's a garden shop in Cicero that the staff for Segwin and the residents of Segwin run. And there's also an auto shop, like, across the street. So check those out. That sounds like can be a really great opportunity for a lot of students. And then lastly, they have the life skills training and enrichment, which is like a day program. Mostly it's for people with developmental disabilities, and they talk about how you can use your DHS funding for this. So that's like the money that you're getting from the Department of Human Services in Illinois by being on the PUNS list. So, check out that link below and see if Segwin would be a good fit for you. Call them up, see what you think. The last agency I'm going to discuss is the Ray Graham Adult Agency, and they are based in Lisle, Illinois, so a little bit further out from where we are. Some different services that they offer are residential services. They also mention CILA, so that's those group homes. They have a specialized living center as well, where there are a bunch of different ranches on a 6-acre property, and in those ranches, like, your student could live and also have that 24-hour care. So it does provide a nice opportunity for independence because it is like they're living in their own space, and not like in a setting that looks like a hospital, but they do have that 24-hour care. So it's an interesting one to look into. Also, just side note, I believe that Lamb's Farm also offers a living situation similar to that. So look into that if you're interested. I'll put a link to Lamb's Farm below, but that's a little bit further out. I believe it's up north. Also, they offer life skills services. They have something called a community learning center where people can be from 9 to 2:30. And I think that sounds like a day program as well, but just with like those specialized classes. They offer recreation. Something really interesting about Ray Graham is that they have therapy with horses, and they also offer summer camps. Their recreation program is very developed, so look more into that if you're interested in a recreation program that partners with an adult service agency. Like, you can access special recreation services in the community, but this is something that has them all together, and a lot of adult service agencies do. They also offer supports for employment, and they offer family support, so that case management. So if Ray Graham sounds like it might be something that you want to look more into, I have a link below that you can check out. So now I've given you a little bit of an overview of different adult service agencies in the area that we're in. I also have to say that there are other ones, and I'm going to list a few of them here just so you're aware of them. Some other ones that I didn't mention are Trinity Services Incorporated, which is all over Illinois, but not really in the areas that we're in. Also Search Inc., which is north, so in like the Skokie, Park Ridge, that area. And there is also PACTT, PACTT, and that is a service agency that just is focused on like residential services, I believe, for adults, and some vocational services as well. So it doesn't have everything that some of these other adult service agencies have, but it's focused specifically on people with autism. So if any of these, even if they're not in your area, seem interesting to you or seem like they would be a good fit, that is when you talk with your independent service coordination person. So the person that you initially contact to help set up the services when you're applying for PUNs. That's something that you can talk about with them, or you can also talk about it with us. And we will try and connect you to the right people so that we can try and figure out what would be the best fit for your student and how you can access those. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me or send me a message on YouTube. And I hope this was helpful in kind of getting you thinking about the different options for your student after high school and transition. So there is stuff out there. It's just a matter of finding which one is the right fit. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day.